So when were you diagnosed with MS?
Oh, I know that date. February 22nd, 2012 is when I received the call. Well, actually I was going to my doctor to get the results of my testing,
Hmm.
and the receptionist accidentally told me what the diagnosis was. And so I guess that might be why it's so permanent in my brain, because that was kind of traumatizing. But um, February 22nd, 2012, after you know, going through a series of tests for maybe about 6 months before.
Hmm.
So, it started for me in 2011. And then, right after 2012 began is when I got the formal diagnosis.
And was there a particular reason that you were getting tested or some symptoms you were having?
Yes. So I had two jobs at the time. And I just noticed that I was just feeling bad. I wasn't having as much energy. I was an avid gym person. I spent hours in the gym. All of a sudden, I was too tired to do it. And so I thought maybe, the two jobs was too much. So I quit one and just worked the other one. It was an overnight job. And just one day after I got up work, I went to sleep and I woke up and I could not stand up. It was like a lightning bolt went through the top of my head. I could not stand up, like literally. I tried, every time I tried to stand up, it was like a anvil was around me, holding me down. I had to feel on the walls in order to. It was amazing. I eventually, it took about 15, 20 minutes. I eventually got up because I was asleep and my children were in school and I had to pick them up.
Hmm.
So, I got myself up, but after that experience, I was just so dizzy, 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 dizzy. For 2 weeks, I was dizzy. I was walking around with the eye patch on because it was the only way to eliminate the dizziness. And I went to the doctor, and he did some kind of test with my eyes, and he stepped back, and he was like, "Oh no." He was an interesting guy, Egyptian guy, and he was always telling me the truth. And he was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna send you for an MRI." But I could tell now that I know the diagnosis, I could tell he knew what it was right away. And so I went and got an MRI. It was dizziness though. It was dizziness,
Yeah.
vertigo type of experiences.
Um, so I don't know like a lot about MS at all. Is it something that you have from birth, or is it something that develops? How does that work?
Well, nobody knows really.
Okay.
It's a mystery. My daughter and I have a 23-year-old, and we hypothesize that it's from birth. And she does, and she tries to convince me. And if you think of anybody that's been diagnosed with MS, once they reflect on the symptoms, they can at least trace those symptoms back 10 years. And I'm one of those. I could trace those symptoms back 10 years. And it's just that nobody thinks, let me test for MS, until, you get more dramatic symptoms. And so I'm not saying I think it's genetic, but I think that it shows up earlier than we
Catch.
are aware of.
Yeah. Is there a genetic component as far as the medical research or?
Well, so sometimes people in the same family will have MS.
Mhm.
So, like, a good friend of mine had it, and her nephew had it.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have any relatives, grandparents, or anything?
no, I have no one else I know genetically has
Yeah.
MS. However, every time my daughter does have a lot of neurological things, headaches, or blah, blah, blah. And every time she feels something, she's like worried about MS. But and there are other neurological things that I see in my family,
Mm-hmm.
but no MS. So I don't know if it's the neurological thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that depending on that individual, it manifests as multiple sclerosis. So it could be something like that. That's a genetic component. You know,
Okay. Well,
there's
thank you.
no.
Yeah. No, for telling me all that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
See it.
thank you. So another thing, I do follow you on Instagram. Another thing I've seen you talking about is, as you mentioned, being a writer, which I'm really glad that you own that. You said I am a writer, not like I want to be a writer. I do some writing, I mean, no. So you are a
Yeah.
writer,
Yeah. Have to
and
coach myself first.
amen, sister. I do the same thing. I'm like, I'm an actress. It's
Yeah.
like, sure, it's what I do. You don't have to make money at it, but what do you do?
Yeah.
Um, so as far as your writing, you're working on a novel right now. Is it fiction or
This one that I'm finishing is fiction.
okay? And it's
Yeah.
called Heartbreaker. Is that correct?
Yes, Heartbreaker.
And
I
you're what?
smile because it's my baby.
It's oh, okay. I was like, your child's name is Heartbreaker as well.
No, it's my baby novel. The idea came up in 2010 or 12. I forget. So,
Yeah, I'm also a writer, screenwriter though.
mm,
So I have a lot of scripts just all over my computer, like
yes.
short films, feature films. I found stories, I wrote in high school. I wrote a children's book. So yeah, and you said the next book you're working on is called Chaos. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my nickname for it. Addicted to Chaos is the whole title.
Okay.
And then there's a byline 200 pages of blood. So,
Like 200 pages of anything. Uh, that's I'm a mess because I went to law school, as you know, and I don't like to read. I tell people all the time.
oh, really? You went to law school?
Not even a little. Like I just I
Hmm.
I'm like,
Wow.
if somebody sends me a long email, I'm like, like, no, could you summarize, put some emotions in there?
Keep it short. Okay. I'll
Like
remember that.
cliff notes from